Yeah, that's awesome. Oh hell, that's a good,
It's a
good,
madman.
good to get in on for sure.
Stage left, the audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their
That's
throat.
neat. Oh,
No one wants to
they can hear us on the.
and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. The curtain rises and the players come out. Webs of lies spinning from their mouths. Stop looking, listen for a little while. Pay no attention to the men behind the curtain. Just look away when you see the blood spurting down to a steady drip. I promise to leave you a little bit. I'll be back for another drink tomorrow. I love the taste of your terror and your sorrow bathing in your blood. It's never enough. Program reality, double think duality, a boot upon the face of all mankind. A numbers up and the dead won't inside. Go along to get along in the tide by the siren song. The flames are empty and the crypts are cracking open. The hordes upon you and you stand there frozen, waiting for the word. Stand in line and wait your turn. Don't follow the strings to find out who is pulling. Just drink your poison, keep on laughing and drooling, eating your own flesh. The master always knows what's best. Worldwide genocide. The overlords of hungry parasites. They point the finger and the eagles fly. Raining fire, children die. Starving plague, paralyzed. A pile of bodies rotten, covered in fire. But no one wants to talk about it. It's safer not to talk about it. I cut my strings, no more bowing to the master. I tried to run, but they only came faster. Now I stand my ground. I ain't backing down. Silver bullets in my pistol, in my holster. My will is strengthened and my confidence is bolstered. Don't test my resolve. Don't test my resolve.
Hello and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. My name is Cliff. I'm joined live from via Skype by Tim. We're here in Carter County, Tennessee. It's Wednesday, April the 13th, 2022. Let us know you can hear us out there. Hit in that chat. Say hello. Tell us what you think about some of the issues that we're talking about tonight. Let us know what you might want to hear about. Or you can email us at the ironmountainhour@gmail.com. Or if you're watching this later, you can always comment on the video as you watch it. So we are, as I said, coming to you live from Carter County. We're going to start off with a few news items here locally, and then we'll get into some national and some worldwide stuff. We've kind of hit it all in the course of this show as we've been doing the Iron Mountain Hour. And before we get started, how's it going, Tim? We didn't do a show Sunday, so I haven't seen you in about a week. How you doing?
Well, I hated to cancel on the show, but I got roped into this pie competition where I ended up having to bake 456 pies in 6 hours. It was a rough day, man.
You didn't cancel the show though.
What's going on with you?
Yeah, I had uh, I had my daughter's birthday this weekend, so getting ready for that and doing stuff with her friends, and big busy weekend had at work. It's our busy time of year, so yeah, I just had a lot of time, and I just didn't feel like doing a show, and I didn't really have a good topic to do either. So I figured, heck, let's put it off, and we'll get back to the news on Wednesday, and then this coming Sunday we'll have us a good show. I think we're going to do a Rando Nautica adventure this weekend. So, Aaron Armageddon, if you're out there and you want to join us on this, you better give us a holler because I think this is the week we're going to do it. And I'll reach out to you outside the show just in case you don't get a chance to watch this, because I know you watch most of them, but do what?
I said no, it's all based on chance.
Yeah, well, that's true. So if he finds this, he finds it. And then, same thing, I guess, if Goff happens to get a hold of us, then he'll join us too. But we'll see. We'll base it on chance since it's all random anyway. Do what?
Are you going to select a topic, or because I know you have to put like intention or directions of some form into, because I'm not real familiar with Randonautica at all.
That's
Just heard what you guys have said.
Yeah, that's the idea, is that you use this app, and for those who haven't heard about it or haven't seen it on the broadcast before, we're talking about an app called Randonautica, and when you use this app, it actually has a quantum laser somewhere in, I can't remember if it's New Zealand or Australia, somewhere down on the other side of the Earth, and they have this quantum laser down there that randomly, it works with a random number generator. So there's like all these elements of randomness inserted into it, and there's no human control over it. The only human control really is the interface that you're using, and it's set up to work with this random algorithm. And according to the creators of the Randonautica app, it uses your intention to help plot a point for you to go to. And what you do is you pick a circle, the size of the circle that you want to go in on the map, say within 100 miles of me, right? And you can say exclude water, so it doesn't put you in the middle of a lake or a river. And you tell the random, hit the button. You focus your intent on what it is you're trying to find when you do your Randonautica adventure. And then it takes you to a random location. And some people say that you can find what you were focusing on. And I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube of people finding things like dead bodies and crime scenes and things like this when they're doing their Randonautica adventures, because that's the kind of things that they're focusing on. The creepy kind of stuff. Let's see if this works. Let's say, let's see if we can find a dead body. That would be unlikely, right? And there's a lot of videos of that happening. Of course, the people who that doesn't happen to, they may just not post those videos. So we may only get the ones where the people found, what they were looking for. But I thought it sounded pretty cool. I heard a guy, I think it was Nick Hinton, on Sam Tripoli's podcast talking about it, and I thought that's pretty cool. I want to check that out. So I think we're going to do that. What do you think about it, Tim?
I guess the first one will be, which one of Sam Tripoli's 400 podcasts?
Yeah, he's got a lot, doesn't he? I think it was on Tinfoil Hat.
The other one, which one? Tinfoil Hat. Yeah, I guess that's probably the one that's got the most steam behind it. What was the other one? Oh, is there actual video evidence, or is it true that they've got a quantum laser and a number thing?
That's just what the developers of the app say. So I'm taking them at their word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
more like a
there's all kinds of ways to get random numbers.
Random destination using GPS, like a GPS lawn dart sort of situation. It just sends you there blindly, and people find dead bodies from time to time.
I think that's pretty much what it is, yeah. But I don't know what else other people find. Those are the ones that, when you search Randonautica Adventures, it tends to be stuff like that, because that's kind of the more exciting stuff, and that's kind of the stuff that draws more clicks. So that's when you search Randonautica, that's going to get pulled to the front of your search results.
Well, yeah. I guess the odds of number one, I guess, would be people are more drawn to dark things. Number two, you'd probably be more likely to find a dead body in the wilderness than you would like a pot of gold.
Well, yeah, that's true.
for money.
Or you might find a staircase in the woods. We've had a lot of people commenting on our video about the feral people in the staircases in the woods. We actually,
What's the verdict on the stairs?
beg pardon?
What's the verdict on the
Well,
stairs?
there was somebody who was telling me about they were search and rescue, and that they had contact with search and rescue, and that this was a real thing, and that they use them to keep them on their toes or something. I wasn't sure what they meant exactly by that. I commented and asked them to elaborate, so I hope they will. But we also had,
They put
not that they
stairs.
put the stairs there, but that the search and rescue people use them to get people up to speed. Maybe that's what it was that they said. Hey, Solar Power Electronics, thank you for joining us. Sorry I didn't get with you this weekend. If you saw the beginning of the video, had a busy weekend. Had an 11-year-old girl with a birthday, so, all kinds of activity going on around that. And appreciate you joining us, man. But,
When you get done with that, you got like I don't understand the statement that there's stairs in the woods to keep people on their
no, no,
toes.
no,
Like
no,
it's
no, no.
just a
Not that that's why they're there, but that's what make people make. Let me just pull up the comment here. We go back to. It'll take me just a minute. Why don't you fill people in on what we were talking about with the staircases in the woods for just a second while I look this up?
well. It wasn't that the same episode of the Appalachian Feral
Yes,
People?
sir.
Okay, well, I was familiar with the Appalachian Feral People part of the episode still, because I was versed in that, maybe linking that to the Booger Man and all that. I didn't know anything about the stairs until you brought them up, and then you gave a nice little collage in the video if people wanted to watch it and fast forward to that. Um, I don't understand. It's either a really strange and elaborate hoax that people decided to start getting involved in, or there's some bananas explanation for it that I've just not figured out. But doesn't that sound like a perfectly good waste of money that the government could get? You know what we should do? Let's randomly put exercise stairs in the woods for our rangers to work
Yeah.
out. Those lazy get some weight off of them when everybody's walking
While
around
they're
feet
walking
down because
around searching for missing people.
stairs, 100 feet of stairs that look like it's going to an office building or something. It's just them trying to get people to
Now
work
that would be
out.
creepy. You walk out in the stuff in the woods and see 100 stairs.
Well, some of them were pretty like unintimidating, like 6 wooden planks, and then some of them were pretty crazy, like spirals, and one of them looked like it was concrete, but it wasn't 100 feet. It was more like 15 stairs with a metal rail going up it, which was pretty strange that that's out there. Some of the ones you brought up, somebody said could be explained because it was like old cabin stoops that where the cabin burned down and was destroyed.
Yeah.
They just left the concrete.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of what we figured, all along, is there was originally a house there, obviously. If you go to somewhere like the Lost Cove, for example, it's a ghost town, if you could even call it that anymore, over near Irwin, Tennessee. The place basically was abandoned in the 50s, but a lot of the buildings were still standing there until 20 years ago. I think there's only one building left that was still standing. I went there probably 4 or 5 years ago, and it was about there was one house that was falling down, but still there. Solar Power says, just got here. Sorry I missed you Sunday. Yeah, we didn't do a show Sunday, man, so you didn't miss anything. He says, I would run the stairs in BFE. Yeah, that's especially that's one of the things about the staircases in the woods, and according to the legend that we read about, is that you're not ever supposed to step on these stairs, because a lot of these search and rescue folks reported that when they stepped on the stairs, they would be like, I don't know, they had frozen in time, or they felt like they were being drawn to the top of it or somewhere else, and they lost control of themselves and things like this. So this was something that we reported in, or that we talked about being reported in the original broadcast, where we talked about the people under the stairs, the feral people in the stairs.
I found a link to that, the staircase. It was linked to I can't remember which site it was. We'll just give credit to the internet for this. This isn't me. I found another. It was amongst I guess like you call it category, like categorized list of oddities such as staircases in the
Okay.
woods. I can't think of what some of the other ones were, but it was stuff that's out of place was the most specific thing. And I think one of them was like walls that don't seem to cast shadows correctly. But the staircase of the woods got grouped into these other oddities that led to a thing called the back rooms. Do you know what that
Mm-mm.
is? It's internet lore. I'm not real exactly sure where it got started, but there's a thing in the internet lore that there's a place called the back rooms, which is essentially if it's kind of like if you glitch out of like our simulation. I think me and Goff talked about it. He said maybe it was pinging out or something
Mm.
like that. Like maybe like when your character loses frame with the
When your
with
latency's
the
too high.
like yeah, your character like falls to the floor like if you kill everybody in a couple of cities in Oblivion, like eventually your character falls through the earth for some
Yeah.
reason and stops coordinating with the buildings correctly. And there's the idea that human beings can do that and fall into a place called the back rooms, which is just
Okay.
in between realities,
Gotcha.
essentially like 4D, like you hit Monsters Inc. or something.
Gotcha.
So they think like the stairs are there because they glitched out of another spot. And
Okay.
if you interact with these sorts of objects, you can end up in weird places.
Solar Power says, "Where? I'm hard up for something to do." Uh, so here's their comment. This is from the YouTube channel, The Primitive and Mysterious. They said the stairs in the woods are a real thing, but the creepiness of it started with a creepy pasta, and I've heard, which is that's what we discussed in the video. I've heard from a credible source that they're put there to test the observational skills of search and rescue and park rangers. So I'd commented, please tell me more if you don't mind. I haven't heard back from them. That was about 6 days ago. And then also on that video, we had another question about the stairs, or another comment about the stairs. Let's see, where'd it go? Okay, here we go. Concerning, this is originally from Solo Reed. He joined us on a couple of episodes. I haven't heard from him in a little while. But here's something from him concerning some staircases in the woods. Never underestimate the tenacity and passion of artists. Throughout history, especially now, there have been artists depositing their pieces in very remote, hard to find places to be appreciated and pondered by the wondering few. Wondering or wandering? Either one would work, I guess, wouldn't it? Some of these art projects have been placed in ways that need a very highly specific way of viewing them, such as an airplane. They use an airplane over a very remote, desolate part of the desert in order to even know what one is looking at, is an example of an art piece existing in real life today. Some of these stairs may fall into this category. I think that's a pretty good point by Solo Ree there. And if you think of like the Nazca lines down in Peru, you know, it's a similar situation. You walk by from the ground, yeah, you're going to see that there's lines, of rocks, but you're not going to see the big picture. Only somebody from above would see that.
Do you think that I don't know, I just like to make things dumb. What if the Nazca lines? Okay, well, follow my train of thinking here. When you said there's art in places that is very hard to get to, there's a I think someone pointed out on the internet. I found it was like a giant metal obelisk. It's out in like the middle of the desert. That's pretty hard to get to. Like a giant hand coming out of the desert somewhere really weird. If you go out west, you'll find art exhibits built in strange places.
Well, and
And I'm wondering,
there was a comment to reply to this from a couple days ago. This is the new comment from Nikki Hall. She says, in Utah, we had that monolith found in the middle of nowhere. I have family that live in the town right by the side of the monolith, and they went to see it. They said you could tell it was put there by a human. They said up close it was easy to tell. So
yeah,
I guess that's what you're talking about that Nikki was referring to.
yeah. I mean, I could give you. You could Google it a lot better than I could sit here and try to tell you about a lot of the different art exhibits you could find out west. You're probably going to get a lot more of that here. I think it's just really hard to find things here in Appalachia because it's so dense in the woods. You
Yeah.
know, desert you can really display stuff. But what if the Nazca lines was just like the ultimate way for those people to tag the earth?
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
the way spray paint
the
find really dangerous locations to get, to make people wonder how they did
the
it.
Banksy of their days, maybe even.
The Nazca Banksy.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's get into some of these local news stories here. We're just going to do a couple local things, and we're going to do a few national and worldwide here stories. We got this story from WJHL. Parvo infects the Greene County Animal Control Facility. So they've stopped taking in new dogs due to an outbreak of parvovirus, and they're going to be closed for any new intake of dogs until April 25th at least, because they had several dogs detected with it. So, that.
What is,
What's that?
Like, what is parvo? Do you
Well, I
know?
was going to just let you fill you in on that real quick. We got the American Veterinary Medical Association. Canine parvovirus is a highly contagious virus that can affect all dogs, but unvaccinated dogs and puppies younger than 4 months old are the most at risk. Dogs that are ill from canine parvovirus infection are said to have had parvo. The virus affects dogs' gastrointestinal tracts and is spread by direct dog-to-dog contact and contact with contaminated feces, environments, or people. The virus can also contaminate kennel surfaces, foods and water bowls, collars and leashes, hands and clothing of people infected it. So the signs of the parvo are lethargy, loss of appetite, abdominal pain and bloating, fever, low body temperature, vomiting, and severe, often bloody diarrhea. So it's just terrible gastrointestinal distress that can easily kill your dog, especially a younger one. So it's really important to get those shots when they're little, especially before you take them out and start socializing them with other dogs or have them around in public, because you never know when somebody else has had a dog that hasn't had its shots that's been around parvo, and it's just really easy to spread it. So I basically just wanted to let everybody know about that because parvo sucks. You don't want your dog to die of parvo or to even have it. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing to see, and nobody should go through that. So get your dogs their shots, man. It'd be worth it. So we
Do you know what?
yeah. No, go ahead.
Like just a weird thing about dog viruses is like heartworm has always kind of like freaked me
Yeah.
out. There's a worm that specifically crawls all the way through the entire dog just to eat the
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah,
Jesus,
they're
so
bad
gross.
news, man. So yeah, some of these parasites are crazy. Like that toxoplasmosis. Isn't that the one that you get from cleaning a litter box? Where, like, if the rat gets this disease, the rat gets this toxoplasmosis bacteria in it. It actually will crave cats, and it will seek out cat urine because there's something in there. The virus is trying to get the cat to eat this rat so that the virus can get inside the rat. So it basically hijacks the rat's brain, makes it like the smell of cat urine, and the rat will run right up to a cat so it can get eaten. Um, and it actually can infect people too. I don't know how it plays out, because it's not like you can run up to a cat and get eaten if you're a person. But so
Well, it's similar to rabies.
do what?
It's similar to rabies.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a horsehair worm?
No.
Okay, if you ever want to see what something defy physics, just something awful, Google any video of a horsehair worm. It's a parasite that gets inside of insects like crickets, grasshoppers, things of that nature. And when the thing finally emerges from the insect, by the time it gets out, the thing it's bigger than the grasshopper is itself. So it's amazing that it fits in there. But the insect, after it gets to a point, is psychotically drawn to water.
Yeah.
So it can jump in because that's what that horsehair worm needs in the end is a place of water for it to further develop.
Yeah. I've got one on. I'm putting one on the screen right now. A video of one.
Oh, yeah.
God,
these things are freaky. But rabies is similar too. Let's watch this real quick before I say anything about that.
Well, I was hoping it would just show the damn thing and not.
Oh, you could
There we go.
find a video
There we go.
popping out of an insect. They're pretty gross.
Yeah, it's showing it now. Yeah.
They're, barbs.
Goes into a mayfly, curls up and waits. Because it's not really after a mayfly, it's after a cricket.
Rabies, the reason like raccoons, dogs, things that get rabies, there's two ways for the virus to spread. It seeks out water, or it seeks out anything that could be like a dominant predator. That's the two things it seeks out. It either wants to get into the water supply so it can infect something else, or it wants. That's why people like. It was one of my videos. One of my friends put up a picture of him and a bunch of his friends partying at a pool. There was this like Ricky the Friendly Raccoon or something. I was like, dude, that fucking thing was hanging out next to a public pool, and you were partying with humans. It had rabies.
Yeah, almost certainly. Yeah, almost certainly. Have you ever been around one that has rabies? That like in an animal that's in like the last stages of it? Dude, it's pretty sad. They
Me too. I saw a possum and if that was a possum, I'm pretty sure it's a raccoon.
I thought possums couldn't get rabies.
If it wasn't a possum, maybe the possum had like a head injury or something.
Okay.
But I remember if you ran across a possum, that just wasn't accurate.
Right.
Too. But I know for a fact the raccoon definitely had
Yeah,
rabies because it was doing foam. It was like trying to get to
yeah,
people,
and,
like not viciously, like just walking up and trying to touch people.
yeah. This guy was walking around like this the raccoon that I saw that had it in the last stages of it. He was walking around like a drunk guy with shuffle legs or something like that. Um,
Mhm.
having seizures. It was pretty sad. So luckily my buddy had his shotgun close by and put the poor fella out of his misery. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's not a good thing. So yeah, be sure and get those dogs the shots, man. You don't want your dog to get rabies. They had to put it down if it does. You don't want to get parvo. It's liable to die if it does. So yeah, just get your dogs their shots. I've honestly I've been not been the best pet owner in the past before, but you know
Thank God.
I've skipped shots and stuff like that. But it's probably a good idea to do that for your pets, guys. It's the
Well, I
law in a
don't
lot of
skip
places.
shots. I don't skip shots just because it's like an automated
Yeah,
thing where they send a little card and they call you. As long as I don't forget, I don't skip things like dog
yeah.
appointments or dentist. It's just always absent-mindedness when I do something like that.
Well, I guess in the past I just was like, oh, it's just a dog, but, you know, I look at it differently nowadays. But we had one show where we talked about the crosses there in Tennessee or in Carter County in Elizabeth, and we mentioned it in a couple of episodes about the Freedom from Religion Foundation suing to remove, or I don't know if they sued, but they've contacted the city of Elizabeth and wanted to remove the crosses on Lynn Mountain. And since then, we've seen crosses pop up everywhere all over Elizabeth. And you see people in their
Yeah.
yards with cross displays. You see signs with cross on them. So it's kind of like the Streisand effect there, where if you weren't around in the early days of the internet, I don't guess it was the early days of the internet. I guess it was the early 2000s or so, wasn't it? Where Barbara Streisand had this new house and she didn't want anybody to find out where she was living, so she was like, "Don't tell."
It was Z specifically. I'm pretty
It was
sure.
what?
I'm pretty sure that was one of the things that got TMZ kind of launched into fame because once they heard that she didn't want people looking at their house, they got a helicopter and just
Yeah,
went from the coastline.
yeah. That was the whole idea. Was she was like some pictures leaked or something, right? And then uh, she was like, "No, don't let those pictures out. I don't want anybody to know where I live." And then that was when,
Well, it was even like less dramatic than that. Like if you go to Hollywood or any of the places where big celebrities live, they'll just straight up have bus rides.
yeah,
This DiCaprio lives, and there's nothing they can do about it. And I guess once they figured out where she lived, buses started appearing, and I guess she went. I guess what's the internet word? I guess she turned Karen
mm,
on them, and they went, "Oh, turns out Barbara Streisand doesn't want us looking at her house, and humans do exactly what you tell them
yep,
not to do." Which in this case, the Streisand effect is, "Please don't look at this," and so everybody decides to look
yeah.
at it.
Well, let's in continuing with a theme that we've talked about before. You remember how we got into I can't remember which episode it was exactly, but we got into several cases where there was a lot of bad behavior, illegality, and abuse going on behind the scenes in a lot of different places, and we discussed the idea that most of the time when this happens, it's widespread and it's known. Otherwise, the person wouldn't be able to assume that they would get away with such a blatant abuse of their position, whatever it may be. So, as we mentioned, that several examples of that from here locally, we had a doctor who allowed like a CEO of a medical company who was not a doctor make an incision in
Make the first cut.
yeah, in a surgery. So he probably would have not done that if he would have he probably wouldn't have done that if he didn't think he could get away with it. We went to several other examples of that. Some the other ones were kind of more uh, extreme, I guess. But this one is kind of one of the top ones here, and this one's local here in Granger County. Here, before I get into that, let me catch up on solar power. He says, "What about the Fortnite cheeseburger in the desert?" Who knows how I got that got there? Uh, don't need no nasty
There, that
rash. My wife says parvo is abundant in the world. Yeah, it's all over the place. You can get it walking around. Yeah,
part
not yeah. Parvo, yeah, like that's why you don't want to take your dog in public too, because it can get it just walking around on the sidewalk. If you haven't had the shots. But so to get back into this story here, I'm looking at Granger County, Tennessee. There was a class action lawsuit filed by two former inmates, and it accuses Granger County corrections officers of oppression, sexual abuse, coercion, and intimidation for allegedly forcing female inmates to strip naked and participate in forced sex act. So, yeah, I don't know. Some guys here, I guess they watched too many of those, uh, 90s lesbian jail porns or whatever they are, and decided they want to try to do what?
Black. I've been watching Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, that too, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, that dang show makes it look like prison is just like a getaway for like lesbian prone
Yeah.
women. They're just like hanging out in the chapel, finger banging each other. They might have lunch today. We might go hang out next to the fence without the guard shooting us. It's so stupid.
Well,
I watch way more than that show than I'd like to admit.
I haven't watched any of it, but I've definitely know it's popular. A lot of people around me have watched some of it. This civil rights lawsuit, they filed it
Great, but
yesterday.
it's edgy.
It's edgy,
It's edgy, but it's not great. Like,
right?
I mean, it's got a good premise, like you start out and you want to like a lot of the characters because one of the things they do is they don't really make any of them redeemable. That's kind of the whole point. They're just inmates, which that's a good take on it. I actually liked that.
Yeah.
But as the show went on and on, like of course, you expect a show about prison to have like an agenda behind it because one of the bit starts out right from the get go that the I'm not even sure what you would call it, the privatized prison system. I guess is that the catchphrase for it? Or
Well, there
whatever?
are private for-profit prisons out there.
That's the going point for it, yeah, like where it's not a federal or state prison, where it's just a rich guy. People own a prison, and now we make money.
Yeah, and
off
the
of
the
it, right?
feds and states contract out to them.
Yeah, well, that's one of the themes that the show, right from the get go, kind of goes after is that this is one of the reasons they don't have a problem with fueling the prison system is because people are actively making money off
Yeah.
of this. Give us more because you give us more of these people and we can keep making more underwear.
Well, yeah, it's like many
it's like-
people have pointed out before. You have the incentive to make something illegal, and so you'll have, say for example, you'll have like the anti-marijuana lobby would basically, where it turned out a lot of them were the people who owned the private prisons. So that's the most popular drug there is. So if you can put people in prison for doing the most popular drug there is, and you own the prison, well, you can make a lot of money. So yeah, that's right. Well, this lawsuit was filed yesterday. It names Granger County Sheriff James Harville, Jail Administrator Chris Harville, and Corrections Officer Travis Davis and Leonard Dalton as defendants, along with Granger County. And they claim that they were basically their 4th, 8th, 14th amendments were violated, which would be the unreasonable search, cruel and unusual punishment, and right to bodily privacy and freedom from bodily intrusion, and violations of Tennessee statutory and common law. So this guy is accused of repeatedly in this lawsuit. Now he did get fired from the jail on April 24th of 2021 because he what was it he was fired for violating code of ethics, officer misconduct, and abusing his position. Now, if he did what it says he did here, I would say this goes to criminal. Why is this even a lawsuit? But he repeatedly forced them to perform various acts on one another while he watched and cranked it in the control room. And the shows, as they were called, occurred in the female inmate pod, with Davis allegedly orchestrating, announcing, and directing using the jail's intercom or loudspeaker system. So he's going across the system here, and he's telling them what he wants them to do, and they're, I guess, basically, saying it was going to be, making things bad on them if they didn't do these things, and so a pretty bad abuse of power, man, and.
The odds.
How does this not rise to the level of criminality?
What are the odds that they worked out a deal with this idiot? Like, just saying,
Oh,
like,
you mean yeah? Maybe they yeah. Okay, go ahead.
we'll make a little porn for you if you give us some
Oh
whatever the
yeah,
hell they want. And then they knew this guy was so stupid that they're like, hey, this idiot's doing this over the loudspeaker. Once we get out of here, let's sue
yeah.
his ass.
Or maybe he didn't come through with the deal. Yeah, I don't know. That's a possibility too, man. People worked a lot of different angles
Yeah.
on these things, but
I'm not chalk it up to he's just not an idiot
yeah.
though. Like where he's like, hey, I'm a prison guard. I've seen some TV. I'm going to totally take advantage of these inmates because nobody cares about them. Not realizing that actually they can, if they're resilient enough, they can kind of come after you.
Well, they said that
Cameras and things being recorded.
the plaintiffs does say yeah. It seems like there would be, doesn't it? The plaintiffs, if he's in the control room watching, doesn't that imply that he watched over a camera? I mean, wouldn't
Well,
you
you'd
think that?
also think this is he can't be the only person in the jail.
Exactly, who has
That,
access to the
that,
camera feed. So this is, and in the article it says that these things were well known throughout the jail. Which again, this is one of these things where if the guy's doing it over the loudspeaker, and right there, presumably for anybody with access to the jail network camera network to see, he can't be the only one who knows what's going on. But they claim the plaintiff said they claimed that they made complaints to other correctional officers and that transfer requests were ignored or denied, and they believed that Davis was untouchable. And a correctional officer told the women to contact an attorney on their own time. Now, this guy was fired for, what sounds like something that would
who are they suing?
do what?
Are they suing him or are they suing the
They
jail?
are suing him, the sheriff, and the county.
Okay, well that makes sense. Yeah, so they're saying that he got away with a bunch of stuff, and now they're going to sue
Yeah,
everybody. That makes
they're
sense.
selling the jail
Okay.
administrator, the sheriff, the county, and two correction officers. And he, I'm not going to read a lot of this because they'll probably kick us off of YouTube for it. But it's just the news. If y'all want to check it out, it's wate.com. I'll share the link in the description here. But yeah,
Pretty much like making his own version of a cam girl, but at
yeah,
prison.
pretty much, pretty much. So it's another one of those things where it falls right into if we can get away with it, or if we do it in front of that many people, then you know, or if we do it thinking we can get away with it, and that many people are involved, somebody else has got to know about it. And these open secrets kind of just are all over the place. Let's look at changing the subject here a little bit. We had some new news, and we've covered the Second Amendment on this channel a few times, so we've done some gun videos, and I've expressed my strong support for people's rights to bear arms. I'm going to play a video for you. It's a little bit, honestly, this lady's a little bit annoying to me, but she makes a pretty good point in this video. So if you can get through like the first 15 seconds or so,
Oh God, putting that heavy of a cringe warning on it.
it's pretty cringy for me, but I like what she's saying, even though, but I see where you'll see what I mean. Just hang on just a second. I'm gonna play this video, pull it up on Twitter here. All right, here we go. Let me unmute your microphone before you start talking, Tim, because we'll have an echo if I don't. Or let me mute the desktop audio, rather. There's got to be a better way to do some of this stuff.
Mhm. But I don't have to do it, so I never have to complain
Oh,
about it.
shit. I had it muted. I turned it on, but had it muted, so nobody saw any of that. Son of a bee. Well, I'm not going to put you through the video again. Or should I? It was short. But basically, the idea was this lady was. Yeah, I turned on the desktop audio, but the mic, but it was muted, so I don't think they heard it.
The basic idea of it is we think that when it comes down to it, the good old boy cops aren't going to do the bad thing of
Could you
loading everybody up and
could you hear it on your end?
yeah, I
Oh,
can hear it.
okay. Well, I guess it works then. Or no, because I shared my audio with you, so I don't know if it actually came across on the video or not. But she starts off basically being like a blue pilled Republican, you know, thin blue line, what some people would call like a FUD perspective from gun ownership. And by the time it ends up, she's explaining that yeah, there's no audio on it. I was just looking back here. That's all right. It does have subtitles on the whole thing, so that's too
Subtitles.
bad because we get left them in silence for the whole 3 minutes there or 2 minutes.
I think you spared them. If they want to go back and watch it and hear the really, really terrible voice over top of the minor key dissonant keyboard that's underneath it the whole
Yeah,
time,
they can do that.
yes, like a voice changer whenever her voices go, whenever her eyes go neon, kind of like the devil in Heaven's Gates and Hell's
Uh huh.
Flames, or that's an oldest shit reference. What's another thing with a voice chat? Batman has that. She has a bat fleck voice changer on her voice.
Bat flick. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I saw the Batman with Ben Affleck.
Strangely enough, in my opinion, I actually think he was probably one of the better parts of the Justice League
Really?
movie. All right, the problem with the Justice League movie is they thought they were going to have the Avengers without having like 7 movies before it. They just tried to jump straight into it with like, what was it, one Wonder Woman movie? I think that was about all they had. I actually thought Batman with Ben Affleck wasn't that bad. I thought he was more closely related to the one maybe from the animated series, with the exception of like I'm talking about like build and the outfit being more stylized. And then his voice, he had like a voice changer,
Hmm.
but it wasn't. It just lowered it. I think with the idea, he probably got the idea from Christian Bale's voice being a little lackluster. Not in the first two, but the first, like I guess, like in the last, well, maybe.
I'm Batman.
People made, yeah, people made fun of Christian Bale's
Yeah.
voice at the time. So Ben Affleck was probably like, well, he's Batman. He's already got access to every weapon that the military has. He probably has access to a convincing voice
Yeah.
changer. So
Well, the reason I brought that video up is because Biden turns to executive actions on guns and maybe more. He did an executive order. A lot of people are saying outlawing ghost guns, but not so much. I mean, it made it allegedly harder for them to sell, but I don't think a lot of gun shops are out here selling unserialized homemade weapons anyway. This is mostly people making them for themselves, and as far as I know, that's still legal. So, this executive order.
there's people. Okay, so are you not allowed to make a gun at your home?
Well, you are allowed to make your gun in your home, and you have been ever since the beginning of the country, and
Uh-huh.
I think this idea is to put background checks on the sale of them, or is it to let's look here. Americans can no longer legally buy or sell ghost guns, firearms that have no serial numbers or can be acquired. You know what? What are these like? I don't know. I hate using their terms like ghost guns. Um,
You
it's
know
not a ghost
that
gun. It's a
sounds like.
homemade gun.
Is it a homemade gun, or are they talking about the ones that like right now? Well, wherever my I can't go looking for it. Mine has a serial number on it that also has another one on the stock, and it goes with the little thingy that came in the box with
Hmm.
it. And yes, just because I bought that, I had to give them my ID and a bunch of other stuff just to even get the
Hmm.
firearm. So that gun is going to be connected to my name
Well,
for
I mean,
for future. So are they talking about guns that just don't that maybe have had that number removed from them because they went on the black
No,
market?
those, I mean, those are already, it's already illegal to remove a serial number from a gun. But here's the thing, like, the whole idea, do what?
Since see, I don't know anything about
Uh,
firearms, so there I can forward the conversation. It's illegal to remove the number.
yeah, it
Okay,
is, but it's not
that makes
illegal to make your own gun without a number. But now Biden has made an executive order that says it's going to make it illegal for you to buy or sell those guns.
scratch a one on it, like I keep it
Yeah, I
down.
guess you could.
Maybe get
Uh, but I don't think there's a lot of people that are. These are mostly individuals who are making and trading and buying and selling these with their friends. So the thing is, it's like we've talked about on this show a lot. You can't stop the signal. These plans are out there. 3D printers are out there. Criminals don't follow the law, guys. And you know what? You're gonna make regular people not follow the laws when you keep expanding your definition of something that's illegal. For example, like the forced reset triggers that they've banned, and or that they're trying to stop these gun shops from selling. No law was made. It was just the ATF deciding that they're going to change their policy and start cracking down on these things. But when you look down into, they talk about um, auto sears and stuff like that. They've been really wanting to crack down on those, especially since that shooting in Sacramento the other day. It brought it back into the news where this guy had what sounded like a Glock with an auto sear in it. Shot about 100 rounds, super quick. Ended up killing 6 people. Well, that's definitely unfortunate, but it's just like they use that to go ahead and start passing these laws that they always wanted to do anyway, but they were just waiting for an excuse such as that. So as they make the gun laws more and more restrictive, one thing that they're trying to do is like make the ATF has put out some proposed rules on pistol braces, would actually turn millions of people into felons for products that they've already purchased legally and have on pistol braces that they have on their rifle caliber pistols. So
what's a pistol brace?
what's that?
What's a pistol brace?
It's like, so if you remember my little short AK that we shot at the range, the little black one that had the folding brace on it. It looks like a stock, but it's softer, and it's for bracing it to your arm. But because you can't have a barrel under 16 inches on a rifle without getting permission from daddy government. You gotta, go ask the ATF to give you permission, and then if you take the gun across state lines, you've got to call them and tell them, or a whole bunch of bullshit that really, I mean, it's pointless because if you have a short-barreled rifle, really the only difference is you have like a solid metal or solid polymer stock versus something like a rubberized brace that you can still basically use the same way. But they're trying to ban those too, or at least make it more difficult to use them. And so you've got millions of Americans who have rifle caliber pistols with attached pistol braces, and you're going to have a lot of them who probably don't even necessarily keep up with the law. They don't have time to be looking up everything that they're doing. It was legal when they bought it. They're not going to go back and look, oh, was this thing that was legal when I did it 5 years ago? Is it still legal today? What about today? Let me check. Not everybody sits on the fucking ATF website and, checks the gun laws every day. No, who has time for that? But they before you know it, all these things will be illegal, and they won't have to come to your door to door, kicking in gun doors and taking people's guns. They do it little by little by outlawing little slices of the gun market at a time, and either you comply and turn it in and throw it away, or they'll, if they ever find you with it, then they'll take it from you. So either way, it's more insidious, I think, than a lot of the pro gun crowd likes to think about, because a common trope among the pro gun folks is, well, I'm a law-abiding gun owner, or I'm a law-abiding citizen. And that's one of the things she was talking about in that video. You're not going to be law-abiding if they change the law. And then right now you're saying, well, I'm a law-abiding gun owner. We should take these guys out with, arrest these guys who have illegal criminal guns. Well, your gun could be illegal criminal tomorrow. You just so I would urge you to look at that in a little different light if you're thinking of it from the blue pilled perspective of our video there. So I got one more thing I wanted to hit here, or two more things actually. One is Gilbert Godfrey died yesterday, man, and
Yeah. 67, is that what
that's
that
right. He
says?
was 67. Apparently he had a recurrent ventricular tachycardia, and basically he had a heart disease, and it took him out slowly. He was dealing with it for a long time, but I suspect we're probably I don't really do I do Twitter some, but I don't do a whole lot of social media. But I suspect we'll probably see a lot of people out there, who loved Gilbert Gottfried, and I'm sure there are quite a few. But I can always recall growing up, people hated Gilbert Gottfried. He was easy to trash. I hate that guy. Whatever. He played Iago on Aladdin, as you said.
Well, he played the annoying squirt. Like that was his role. He played the villain in Problem Child. He was sort of the passive, annoying guy on like Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
Squares. Balance out Whoopi. So he played the role really well when we were kids. But as we got older, like I remember seeing him on. He would do. I think one of the better things he did was some of the podcasts he did with Norm
Oh, I
Macdonald.
didn't see any of those.
Okay, if you go look up Norm Macdonald was he had one of the very first podcasts. You could find
Right.
them probably all on YouTube or on .com. But it was him, and he would sit down with a lot of these comedians like Gilbert Gottfried and a bunch of those, and just talk with them and get just. It's just funny watching them actually being candidly funny and not scripted funny.
Oh yeah.
Man, one of the things I think that's so fascinating about all these comedians dropping, you had Gilbert Gottfried, Bob Saget, and what was it? There was one more. That was a big one that dropped recently. Do you remember who it was?
I'm not thinking now.
Gilbert Gottfried, Bob Saget. And there was one other big one that died here very recently. Norm Macdonald.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. You're going back a little farther. Yeah.
the thing I think that's I don't know if it's ironic or just interesting and unfortunate. Uh, but Norm Macdonald was a part of a troupe of comedians from New York that had Bob Saget, Gilbert Gottfried, and a slew of other guys that were involved with it. And one of them was a comedian named Artie Lang. You familiar with
Oh
Artie
yeah.
Lang? Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well, for people who are, Artie Lang is a comedian who I think he got his start on Mad TV.
Yep.
And he was just more of a shock comedian. I think he was real rubbing elbows with
He's
Howard
on Howard
Stern.
Stern shows quite a bit there.
Mm-hmm. And the guy's done so many drugs that he can like mash his nose flat like a boxer that's lost every match and just has no cartilage left in there. And the whole gag was everybody has been waiting on Artie Lang to die this whole time, and he's outlived Bob Saget, a clean man, Norm Macdonald, another clean man, and Gilbert. I mean, nobody expected Gilbert to drop before
Yeah.
Artie. Artie Lang was like if Chris Farley hadn't had cardiovascular problems, he could have kept going for a long time.
He said, Artie Lang, he was talking about his mom. He said when he was a kid, he was fat, and told her he wanted to go fishing with his uncle or something. And she's like, "You can't go fishing. You're too big to go fishing. You're too heavy to go fishing." She just thought the boat would sink. But yeah, Artie Lang was a good one, and he's still a kicking as far as I know. But Gilbert, I remember him, the first time I saw Gilbert Godfrey was on USA's Up All Night, and he would co-host with I can't remember her name now, the blonde lady.
Oh no!
He was also on
remember.
Beverly Hills Cop 2, the business manager. That was one of the early things I saw him in. But he was in all kinds of good stuff. Hilarious guy. Purposefully annoying, but in a very funny way. I always thought he was good. So, I'm sure there'll be everybody out there saying, "Oh, I loved Gilbert Gottfried," but I did. He was cool. So let's see here. Last but not least tonight, definitely not least, probably the most important show, the part of the show really. we've talked about how a lot of this smart agenda that's coming through with putting everything on the computer grid and basically putting your whole personality and your life and all your financial, informational, medical, everything on the internet. It puts us in danger of having it being able to be turned off or, tracked and traced everywhere we go. And we showed some video last week of the World Government Summit where they were showing us that they wanted cameras that are scanning people's temperature, scanning their faces, scanning their gaits, your eyes, everything. And we or I posited that the only reason that you could want this is to have total control over a society. I mean, total top-down command and control. I mean, what to me that seems uh, pretty evident. Now, I'm sure a lot of people say, "Oh, they just want it for our safety," but let's look at Shanghai. Let's see. Let me find this. Shanghai had this plan of having zero COVID, right? So they did these. They started doing these regional lockdowns, and it wasn't working. They weren't. They were doing all kinds of different measures first, and then they went for the whole Shanghai. I was trying to find. I had like kind of a how it's going, or what's the damn thing? How it's going? How it? You know what I'm saying? How it started. Yeah, that's it. How it started. How it's going. But it was. I lost the how it started angle article, but it was from Reuters, and it was basically China implements zero COVID policy, and the premier of this area says it's going to be such a great thing. We're not going to have any COVID, and we're going to stop this thing from spreading right now. And that was about 2 weeks ago. They were starting to have significant spread, right, and started doing all these different measures. Well, now they have locked down the entire city of 25 million people. I think it's the largest city in China. It's one of the largest cities in the world. They have 25,000 cases out of 25 million people, right? So how many is that? What, 0.1%? Let me do the math right quick. I'm not good with decimal points. Let's do 25.
25 million would be what?
25 million
0.025.
divided by 25,000. Oh, well, it'd be 25,000 divided by 25 million, wouldn't it? 25,000 divided by 25 million. 0.01%. So they got a positive test rate, or 0.01% of that population, and they have locked down the entire thing. They have reporters in China have said that they were locked in their room, that they had like paper tape sealing the room off. Other people who had positive cases were actually welded in Wuhan. Now they're being taken off, and in some cases they're locked. A lot of people are locked in their house, but the people who test positive are taken off to a COVID internment camp. Their pets are being murdered. There are videos, very disturbing videos. I'm not going to put any of them up on here just because it's too fucked up. I don't want to look at it, and I don't want to show it to you, but there's like bags of fucking cats and dogs where the Chinese authorities are rounding up these animals and executing them. There's people who are starving to death in their homes while they're locked down, not allowed to go anywhere because China.
What's the
What?
like? I don't understand. Well, number one, I guess we have to because I try to take it from a logical angle right now, and I guess if I take the biggest part of the logic out would be they're just trying to kill a bunch of people and have a good reason to do it. But like that doesn't make any sense. We have a virus that everyone is saying we're never going to get rid of because it's on the planet now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never get rid of it, and you want to get rid of this small amount. Like you're going to. It just even the math just doesn't add up. That why you would go through those measures to get 0% in this one city, knowing it's going to come back.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's another thing is if you tried to take them, as a good faith effort to actually stop the spread of this thing, we've seen for 2 years the lockdowns don't do shit. And actually we just had study finds and there's been a lot of other data to back this up too. But the states that had the most restrictive measures in America actually had the worst outcomes with fatality rates. So the lockdowns don't hurt, and a lot of us told everybody that would listen to us. You know, not that many people would listen to me, but I still bitched about it just the same. This lockdowns, we're not going to feel the effects of this shit for probably a couple of years, but when we start feeling it, it's going to be bad. You're going to have, you know, when you start having people out of work, yeah, you can give them a check to put some money in their hands so they can still buy some stuff. But if they're not at work, they're not producing any goods and services, and you're still throwing out that money. Eventually, that money's going to chase around the goods and services till there's not anything left for it to buy, and you're going to need more money to get any of it if there's anything available for you to buy. Well, we saw that coming, and when a lot of us who were against all these restrictive measures put that out there and tried to warn people that this was going to happen. Unibluffer says, I've seen videos of people jumping out of windows. Yeah, there's people jumping out of the windows. There's people who are like showing that they have no food in their fridge. They're starving to death. There's creepy ass videos of people standing out on the rooftops, and you can just hear all these Chinese women just screaming, shrieking, I would call it, or wailing. God, it's disturbing. And, in the name of fighting this virus that, has a lower death rate than the flu in most cases. In most places, their death rates are, I mean, okay, in
So,
older populations, yeah, you had worse outcomes. But what's that, Tim?
so I mean, like, are which one is it? Are governments in it together that they're just going to use this as an excuse to mistreat people? Or is it across the board that all the people in control right now are idiots and don't know what they're doing?
Well, no, I don't think we could feign ignorance because they see the same data that we have. They can't just be interpreted incorrectly. I don't think they.
You don't bean counters would think of it that way. Like if you take, because I mean, we can't be so even in these times when you're not allowed to say anything even close to smart or controversial. Like people aren't the same. Like your mind might function a little similar to mine. That's why we can have a conversation. But like you've met enough people at this age where not everyone has the same
Mm-hmm.
functionality. And when you get enough people that are low in maturity, which means when they get authority, they're going to abuse it. And then you mix that with people who have a bureaucrat, lawyer sort of mind, it makes sense that if you have 25 million people in a city and you're in the upper echelon of government, you're in the top tier of the crust, you look down at all these numbers and the top people are telling you you need to make this number equal zero. People are expendable.
Mm-hmm.
What's the quickest way to do that? Well, we need to, what I'm saying? Like, what if the whole plan was we all just have an excuse to kill all the the deplorables, and it's a get out of jail free card for the elites to commit genocide on a mass scale.
Well, there's a lot of things to back that up, and I think that to the point that you made, there are Western leaders, European leaders who have marveled at China's ability to control their population and to implement all this technology and to do all this building, and it's basically because they do it at the expense of the rights of the Chinese people. So, um, the even somebody we talked about recently, what's his name? I keep wanting to call him Justin Castro, but I can't. Justin Trudeau. He was praising China's ability to have this electronic infrastructure that everything ran through, and I think it's because they pretty much want this all over the world. As we talked about, World Economic Forum has said they have captured a lot of these cabinets in all these nations. They're setting up these authoritarian surveillance control grids just like they have in China, and I don't see. I think it's coming because they're doing these lockdowns. The supply chains have already broken down. Everything's slowing down. I tried to order some meat from Walmart today. You couldn't hardly get chicken or beef. Um, it was out of stock, and I buy bulk of it. I usually go to my butcher shop up the store, which is what I'm going to end up doing. But I was picking up some other stuff from Walmart, and I was going to grab me a thing of beef and some thing of chicken, and they were sold out of all the the 5-10 pound rolls of beef of chicken, so you couldn't really get anything in bulk up there, which is pretty uncommon. And not just the cheap stuff too. They had, they have like three brands. They have like the Walmart brand, the Tyson brand, the Purdue brand, and they'll all be different prices. And the only chicken breasts that they've had that they weren't sold out of was the frozen ones and the ones that were like $5 a pound. So the shortages are definitely hitting here, but
It's Easter week though.
what's that?
I mean, it is Easter week
Well,
though.
that's true too.
Rates with
That's true. I haven't seen it hit
like
here
restaurants.
so much as far as meat. This is the first time that I've really run across it, places being sold out of meat. But I have noticed the store shelves have been thinner, and what they'll tend to do is, oh, we didn't get our Dawn dish liquid in this month, so we will remove all the places for the shelf for Dawn dish liquid and just spread out the gain in palm olive a little more. So it does.
Mhm.
It's not as noticeable that the shelves are thinning out, but a lot of that we're seeing is the effects of the lockdowns last year, of the shutting down of manufacturing, the shutting down of trade, and I think that you know, we've also had a lot of effects like suicide, alcoholism, really bad mental health. You have a lot of people who are afraid to leave the house now. You got people who are, are not even, they're just completely turned around from where they were 2 years ago. So. I think that may have been one of the goals of the lockdown. But basically, as the effects of this lockdown take effect, and we have less and less goods, more and more money to buy those goods with, the prices go up. Your paycheck doesn't go up. People start spending so much of their money on food that they don't have it left for anything else. That's when you start having people. When you have people spend 50% of their money on food, it's like mathematical, what do you call it,
They already are.
it's proven, it's been shown time and time again that when people spend half of their money on food, they start rioting. When they start rioting, they start killing each other, and then a lot of times that ends up, with really bad, um a lot of times that has a big ripple effect. So I'm hoping that it doesn't get to the point of that, but I think that one of the reasons that they want this kind of command and control electronic surveillance grid is so that when the food runs out and all this stuff, you've got everybody scanned, you've got everybody able to be plugged into this system really quick. But that's just my theory. But I base it on what the World Economic Forum and groups like that have said too.
I think a lot of it's like I don't like it's harder and harder to either, man, I don't even know what to say about it. It doesn't make sense to me. Like either it's a giant conspiracy or people really are stupid. That's all. I mean, I guess that's the easiest way I could put it. Like when you have your villains out there that are literally out there, and they've got their villain voices and they're wearing their Doctor Evil outfits and they're laying their bullet. None of it, everything makes perfect sense to me right now, but none of it makes sense. I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, when I guess a lot of people talk about it as the red pilled and blue pilled take, you know, you could call it the red pilled take, but you're kind of
I have a different pill. I don't have a color for it. Mine was uh, man, I don't know how to take this stuff seriously because, like I said, I was raised in like an end times cult sort of situation. So, like from the time I was born, the world was ending and Jesus was coming to take us back at any
right.
second. We had bunkers and shit. And so now, while I'm watching everybody prepare for the end of the world again, I know it seems like the end of the world's coming, and I hope a lot of people. I know it's stressing a lot of people out because I'm still keeping in touch with like the Facebook side of social
Yeah.
media, mostly for like show alerts and just see what people are doing. I can tell it's stressing people out
Oh
still.
yeah.
Um, and but the world's still going to be here. I mean, I don't know exactly what the future is. I mean, worst case scenario, we've got a fallout situation. We're all having a giant version of Burning Man. But I just think a lot of people right now are like burning bridges with relationships for no reason and acting real strange. And like, I don't think anything that could happen would be a good reason for you to turn into a terrible person for your own
Right.
survival. Because in the end result that nothing happens, everybody in town's going to hate you.
Yeah. and deservedly so if you know decided that you're going to start eating your neighbors because you know you might not have steak that week or whatever. But yeah, I mean it could things could get really bad, folks. I don't know that they will, but
Man, we're millennials. They've been bad my whole life. Like,
well,
I'm just really starting to feel like this is like, I feel like, I feel like the entirety of news has fallen into like the Glenn Beck thing, where it's good news, bad news, where he's got you in this constant pull where I feel like the end game is actually just to get you to buy gold because he owns a lot in it, you know? And it's just so convenient that Democrats are always screaming about let's take away their guns, and then you find out half their fucking portfolio is in like DARPA and these big gun manufacturing places. It's like I swear it looks like the reason Obama said, "Hey, I'm going to take all your guns," is because he wanted everybody to run out and buy a shit ton of guns because he had a lot of money in Lockheed Martin.
well, hey, that's
You know?
that's an interesting perspective because whenever gun Democrat politicians are in office, gun sales always go up, and then well, I think the biggest rise in gun sales ever was at the beginning of the pandemic, and I said at the time I said, well, if Donald Trump, here's what he should do: he should put out the Second Amendment Protection Act because everybody's saying, well, health care is a human right. Well, I think the acts, you know, that's a story for a different day. But let's just take it on. Um, let's take it at face value and say healthcare is a human right, and that's the.
Or isn't? I
I
didn't
said
hear you.
let's just take it let's take that statement at face value without any debate on it and say healthcare okay is a human right, and the
Yes.
left
Okay.
believes that it's a human right that it should be provided to you by the government. Wouldn't you say that's a fair characterization of their proposal for Medicare for all?
Well, yes, but aren't the people who are proposing Medicare for all the same people who are using that argument, though?
Well, what I was going to get to is they are proposing, yes, Medicare for all, they say because it's a human right that the government should provide it to
Yeah, I
everyone,
think
right?
that's the thing.
So even though they believe that's a human right, um, it's we'll put that debate for another day. It's not listed as a human right in the Constitution, which is what the government follows, but the right to keep and bear arms is listed. So, you know, under by that logic, then the government should buy everybody guns, right? So when Donald Trump put out all those pushed all those stimulus checks, well, Congress pushed them out, but Trump did push for them. Those first rounds, I said, well, that's your Second Amendment Protection Act right there, because everybody that wanted a gun right then, you got I don't know if you had kids, I think you got like $3,400. If you didn't, you got like $1,200. You know, that's enough for you to go buy a gun. A lot of people went out right out and bought guns, and uh,
Hmm.
that's the largest time. I think that's the largest month. I think March or April of 2020 was the largest most gun sales in history. And then Biden came in, and I'm not sure if they've gone up, but they've been steady since then. But um, yeah, like you said, it always tends to.
Like the Bidens make money in like heroin and energy. You don't think they get a buttload of money in weapons manufacturing and other things?
It would only make sense.
Yeah, and I mean, like that. I don't even think that's like heavy conspiracy theory territory. Like, I'm pretty sure that like it's pretty easy to figure out. Like, if we just use our local area, we know that there's a casino and a lot of like improved laws, I guess is the way you'd put it, that are involved in the Bristol area. Uh, and it's a direct result of one of Trump's laws that he passed, or Trump's bills. I don't know what you call
The
it. It's
opportunity zone thing.
yeah, there's several of them in the United States, but that was one of them that allowed them to bypass certain laws quicker to get the area boosted for tourism. Um, and so you use Trump's history and his who he is, and it's pretty easy to figure out why he might want to label Bristol an opportunity zone so they could get a casino and a bunch of hotels and stuff. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because he owns a bunch of fucking real estate and casinos and hotels and stuff. What are the odds that Trump's invested in Bristol, and that's
Could
why they
be.
got all the laws passed? You know,
Could be.
I feel like it. Like, you know what I feel like's happening, and I know this is going to come across as pretentious as hell. I feel like what's ending up happening is a couple of us crazy people who have I have like enough college education to have several degrees, but I just never finished any of them. So I just have like a bunch of half-ass degrees with a good joint GPA, you know. And so, but that didn't give me anything. I have no papers to prove anything. And so I'm like this half-assed Renaissance man with like music and like so. But one of these days, everybody's gonna die off, or everybody's gonna plug full on into the Matrix or the metaverse or something. And I'm gonna be that dude that's in Idiocracy, where I'm the only person left out here that can still do math and can like function without he's like checking his TikTok or something. So my hair is turning gray as I speak, and my car is turning into a fair lane. Like I'm getting old to speak.
It
Hey,
happens.
dude, I'm just saying. They're saying that like you can't tell me that you don't feel smarter than you should. You really are. Like the world is making me feel pretty in control and stable, and I'm not an in control stable person.
Yeah, looking
Me, the
around and
world,
comparing yourself to other people. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. By me looking around, either I'm getting a lot better, or this world is falling into some crazy levels of entropy. That's all.
Well, I think that's a good way to end it tonight, Tim. Entropy all the way down.
That's the way it ended, isn't it?
Yep, I think so. That's a good closing statement from Tim. Hey, listen, we'll see you on Sunday at 10 p.m. If you're still with us, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. Give us a like on here. Throw a couple comments in the chat. Shoot us some emails at the Iron Mountain Hour at gmail.com. And we will see you on Sunday.
You said you were going to mention that you had a candidate coming on.
Oh, I wasn't going to mention that tonight.
Never mind.
Yeah, I'll mention our guest next month. Now we got LaMichael Wilson. He's running for governor of Tennessee and the Libertarian ticket, so we're gonna have him on April 27th at 10:15. So yeah, we'll get you to check in with us for that. But till then, we'll see you on Sunday. Thanks, guys.